his half-sister. And by the cruel arithmetic of their world, she was now his legal property. Elena raised her eyes a second time. Their gazes met and held. In that silent electric exchange, a terrifying understanding passed between them, a recognition of shared fear, shared astonishment, and a shared poisonous secret. They both knew, and they both knew this truth was a burden they must carry alone, forever unspoken. Oh, sleep evaded Christopher that night. His father's study, now his own, felt like a tomb filled with accusing ghosts. He pulled down ledgers from the floor-to-ceiling shelves. James Whitman had recorded everything. It was past midnight when he found the entries. Monthly remittances sent to an address in Charleston for 18 years, listed under the initials E.W. The payment ceased abruptly just 1 year before his father's death. In a separate folio tied with a faded ribbon, he found a letter on delicate blue paper. The handwriting was elegant, feminine. "Dearest James." Today the girl read her first word. She saw your likeness in the book of portraits and asked, "Who is this?" I told her, "A good man. She has your eyes. Every time she looks at me, I see you. I ask for nothing for myself. Only her freedom. I want for her the life we could never have, please. Yours always, Emma." The letter fluttered from Christopher's numb fingers onto the desk. Emma, Elena's mother. He searched deeper. A deed for a modest Charleston cottage held in a blind trust. Receipts for a music tutor, for books, for dresses of good but not ostentatious quality. The record of a hidden life. James Whitman had provided his secret, daughter with every comfort except the one that mattered, except her liberty. Fear of social ruin, of scandal, had imprisoned his own child in the very system he upheld. That legacy of cowardice was now Christopher's to bear. At first light, he summoned Elena to the library. She entered silent as a shadow, her posture one of subservience that no longer felt natural to him. "Sit," Christopher instructed. Elena's eyes flickered with confusion. Slaves did not sit in the master's presence. I prefer to stand, sir." I said, "Sit." She perched on the very edge of the offered armchair, her eyes fixed on the Persian rug. "Elena," Christopher began, struggling to steady his voice. "You know, don't you?" She remained motionless, a statue of repressed emotion. "You understand the connection between us?" Slowly she raised her head. Tears welled but did not fall, held back by sheer will. "I know nothing, sir." "Do not lie to me." His voice was sharp, not with anger but with a shared agony. "You have seen the same eyes you look into every day in your own mirror. You must feel the same bone structure when you touch your own face." Elena's breath came out in a shudder. "My mother, she never spoke his name. But when I was 12, she gave me a miniature portrait. She said, 'This is your father.' I studied that face for years. Then one day, while working in a New York household, I saw a newspaper announcement. The death of James Whitman, and then, when you appeared on that gallery, it was as if the portrait had stepped from its frame. A heavy silence engulfed the room. They stared at each other, brother and sister, master and slave, a bond twisted and poisoned by the world they inhabited. "I will manumit you," Christopher stated. "I will set you free." Elena's eyes widened in something closer to alarm than joy. "You cannot." "Why not?" "Because people will ask questions a young bachelor cannot afford. Why does a man free a young, comely female slave? The assumptions, the gossip. It would ruin you. It would make me an object of even greater suspicion. Then what would you have me do?" Desperation crept into his tone. "Keep you as property? Perpetuate my father's sin?" Elena rose and walked to the window. Beyond, the fields of Oak Shield stretched out, dotted with the figures of laborers beginning their day. "You own 170 slaves, sir. If you free me, what of them? Will they not wonder why she and not us?"
"Can you free them all?"
The question hung in the air, unanswerable. He could not. The law, the economy, the very fabric of their society was built against it. To free them all would be financial and social suicide. "What is the solution, then?" he asked, defeated. Elena turned. A fierce, resilient light burned in her honey-brown eyes. You can change the system within your grasp. You can treat the people here as human beings ought to be treated. You cannot buy my freedom with a paper, but you can buy my dignity. You can buy the dignity of every soul on this land. Oh, change came slowly to Oakshield, like a deep thawing frost. Christopher shortened the work hours in the fields. He banned the use of the lash, a decree that made his overseer quit in protest. He refused all offers to purchase members of the same family, despite the financial loss. Elena assumed the role of housekeeper, and a fragile, unspoken camaraderie grew between them. In the deep quiet of the evenings, after the household slept, they would often meet in the library. There they built a relationship in stolen moments, sharing stories of their fractured lives. One such night, Elena spoke of her mother. She played the piano, the melodies from her hands. They sounded like weeping. She used to say music was the only truth that could never be enslaved. "Do you play?" Christopher asked. A faint smile touched her lips. "She taught me. Play for me." They moved to the music room. Elena sat before the grand piano, hesitating for a long moment before letting her fingers settle on the keys. Then she began to play. It was not a festive tune, but a complex, haunting sonata. The music filled the high-ceilinged room, a tapestry of sorrow, longing, and a stubborn, resilient hope. Christopher closed his eyes. The notes conjured his father, not the stern patriarch, but the young man who must have loved a woman named Emma, the man whose fear had conquered that love. He felt the weight of that inheritance, the anger, the pity, and the crushing responsibility. When the last note faded into silence, the room felt hollow. "You deserve to be free," Christopher whispered into the quiet. "You deserve a life beyond these walls." "And go where?" Elena asked, her voice not bitter but profoundly weary. "Is the North some promised land? Would a world that sees only my skin ever see me? Here, at least. Here I have a strange kind of safety." The truth of it was a cold stone in Christopher's heart. She was right. Oh, seasons turned. Spring warmed into a sweltering Louisiana summer. Oakshield, under its new order, did not crumble. Paradoxically, it seemed to thrive. Christopher established a small school in a former storage shed, where the plantation's children, under Elena's careful guidance, learned their letters. Neighboring planters murmured of dangerous ideas, but Christopher paid them no mind. Theodore Bradford returned one blistering afternoon. He toured the grounds, his sharp merchant's eyes noting the intact families, the absence of the overseer's whip, the unsettling sight of a slave child reading a primer under a live oak. "You have lost your mind, Christopher," Theodore declared over brandy that evening, his affability gone. "You are cultivating a poison. If your people get a taste of this humanity, what is to stop them from demanding the same on my land? From rising up everywhere? Perhaps if they were treated with humanity from the start, there would be no need for rising up," Christopher replied evenly. Theodore's face darkened. "Do you know what they are calling you in town? An abolitionist sympathizer. Whisper that word in the wrong ear here and you know what follows." "I am not afraid of words. You should be afraid of ropes." Theodore slammed his glass down. "Think of your family. Your sister's engagement to the Carter boy is nearly finalized. This nonsense jeopardizes her future. You're standing everything." "My sister?" Christopher's blood ran cold. "The real one," Theodore snapped, misunderstanding his friend's shock. "Eleanor, your father's legitimate daughter. Or have your new philosophies made you forget her as well?" Christopher's face drained of color. He had momentarily thought Theodore meant Elena, the grotesque juxtaposition, his acknowledged sister preparing for a society wedding while his other sister poured his brandy, was a physical blow. After Theodore's carriage rattled away, Christopher found Elena in the library mending linens. "You must leave," he said, the words tasting of ash. She set her needle down carefully. "Have I displeased you?" "No, Theodore." His visit was a warning. "Suspicion is growing. If anyone were to guess," he could not finish the sentence. Elena understood. The danger was not abstract. It was a mob, a torch, a noose. "Where?" "North New York. I have contacts. You can live freely there." He retrieved a sealed oilcloth packet from his desk. "This contains your manumission papers, legally recorded in Charleston, and enough money to give you a foundation. Use it to build the life you should have had." Elena took the packet. Her hands, usually so steady, trembled. "You would do this, for me?" "You are my sister," Christopher said, the word finally, painfully spoken aloud between them. "The world may never acknowledge it, but I do. And I will not fail you as our father did." A single tear traced a path down her cheek. "You're a better man than he was. I am a man trying to atone for his sins," Christopher corrected softly. "Oh." Oakshield was a ghost of itself after Elena's departure. Christopher threw himself into the work of reform with a fervor that bordered on obsession. He hired a traveling doctor for regular visits. He improved rations and housing. He spent exhausting days tracking down and repurchasing spouses and children who had been sold away under his father's rule. Years marched on, each heavier than the last. The national tension over slavery stretched like a wire about to snap. Christopher felt the coming storm in his bones. Then a letter arrived, postmarked New York City. "Dear brother, by your grace I am safe and well. I have used the gift you gave me to open a small school for children of color. They are free in name, but poverty is another kind of chains. We learn together. Sometimes in quiet moments I imagine a different childhood, one where we might have squabbled over toys, shared secrets, protected each other from childish hurts. Thank you for making such imaginings possible, for keeping the ember of hope alive. Your sister, Elena." Christopher read the letter by the fire, and for the first time in years, a genuine, untainted peace settled over him. She was safe. She was thriving. He had, in some small way, tipped the scales of justice. When war finally tore the nation apart, Oakshield lay in its path. As Union troops approached, Christopher assembled every man, woman, and child on the plantation before the great house. "The world is changing," he announced, his voice carrying across the anxious crowd. "As of this moment, by my word and by the law that is coming, you are all free. Those who wish to leave, take with you my blessing and a share of the last harvest's profit to start your journey. Those who wish to stay, the land is yours to work as tenants with fair shares. I will provide what tools and seed I can." The reactions were a tumultuous wave. Silent disbelief, choked gratitude, wary joy. Some left that very day. Some stayed, shaking his hand, their calloused palms a testament to a shared, painful history. The war ravaged the land and Oakshield's grandeur faded like an old photograph. But Christopher remained a quieter, grayer man, tending a smaller freehold farm. The weight on his shoulders had lightened. Decades later, another letter found him, the handwriting elegantly mature. "Brother, life offers second chances, it seems. I am to be married. His name is Samuel, a teacher. He knows my whole story and loves me not in spite of it, but because of the strength it forged. It would fill my heart to have you stand with me. Your sister, Elena." Christopher made the long journey north. In a modest, sun-dappled church in Brooklyn, he saw her. Elena in a simple cream-colored dress, her face illuminated by a happiness so profound it stole his breath. The honey-brown eyes sparkled with unshed tears of joy. After the ceremony, she walked to him, took both his hands in hers and held them tightly. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Not for the papers or the money. Thank you for giving me back my name, for calling me sister." "You have always been my sister," he replied, his own eyes misting. "We just had to learn how to see each other through the darkness." They stood together on the church steps, watching the newlyweds depart. Their lives had been carved by different pains, their paths divergent, but the bond between them was now unbreakable. Quiet victory over a loud and cruel history. Christopher returned to Louisiana one last time. He knew he would likely not see Elena again in this life, but the certainty of her happiness was a solace that would warm his remaining years. Often on clear nights when the moon silvered the old oak trees, he would sit on the porch and let his mind wander. He thought of the countless families severed, the loves hidden, the stories swallowed by silence, the immense echoing cost of their world. But one story, he would remind himself, one story had found its way to light. One thread of love had been mended. And in the grand, painful scheme of things, that was a victory. Sometimes it was enough.
History often hides the stories we most need to hear.
If you're interested in more lost historical cases like this, click the subscribe button. Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think such family secrets still exist today?